And we're live! I gotta work on that audio timing, but we're back. We're here. We're alive. Today's class is up already. Let me go back a few slides, but I think, give me a moment, I'm fired up today, guys. I'm feeling it. Oh, yeah. I've been crushing in life lately, and it is making me feel good. We got comment sections showing up right down here. Courtesy of the legendary TJ. Let me know how the audio's doing, by the way. If you're in chat right now, go ahead, drop a comment, and I'll actually be able to see it, and it won't disappear in 4 seconds. Because Facebook changes its updates, its systems every single freaking day, all the time. It's all they do. I've never gone to my Facebook page and not had to update something and had the entire thing redesigned, which is a good sign that they're probably spiraling out of control and not in the best situation. Let me try and fix that for you. Does that fix the audio? I just realized I have my fan going in the background. That probably is going to affect the audio quality. Let's see if that improves it. Before we get started today, which I'm sure you're all excited to learn how to acquire. And we're back. Hey, everybody. I'm going to be using that edit. We'll chop it up a little bit. Maybe throw it into some movies. Movie editing software. We'll make it work. All right, let's see here. What were we saying? The Art of Power Aquisition, a Machiavellian guide. Tactics and systems for acquiring power. You can check me out at Tyler Sass is my name. Guess you can't check me out there, but that's my name. Don't wear it out. What is this? What is this comment? Is it a troll? Is it someone I need to kill? Is this someone that needs to be banned for life? Let me see here. What? Why are you dressed like Dr. Evil? Like from Austin Powers? I don't get it. I'm not dressed like... What are you seeing? Are you guys... Can you see me on the screen? That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to... Oh, that's beautiful. That's so true. Because the webcam makes it look like all the gray just blends together. No, this is a vest. This is a brown vest over a gray shirt. It's so good. That's exactly what I look like. I look like Doctor Strange with hair. Oh my god, that's beautiful. Thank you. You know what? You win. You win all the points today. Doctor Strange. Or it's Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil. I'm saying Doctor Strange. That's amazing. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't even care if you're trying to remember this. That's so true. It looks terrible. Oh my god, I love it. Okay. Art of Power Acquisition with a Machiavellian guide. Today we're going to be talking about tactics and systems for acquiring power. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at AskAWizard. You can also go to AskAWizardMagic.com where you can book me for magic shows. You can get free lessons in the lesson section. I teach you 3 tricks for free, and then I'm like, yo, how about some money? And then you're like, I don't know about that, but you seem like a cool dude, and then you do. And there's a bunch of videos on there, podcast magic. You just go. Just go. It's a great place to be. It's a lot better than, I don't know, Netflix. Here we go. Let's do this. We're going to go right into the guide on a Friday night. Let's do this. Boom. In today's class, we will be learning Machiavellian philosophy, Machiavellian paradigms, applicable context for power acquisition, the key principles of power, common failures to avoid in acquiring power, key behaviors of power acquisition, Machiavellian tactics, Machiavellian systems for acquiring power. So let's get started. The Machiavellian philosophy. Now, this entire approach, actually, let's take it a step back here. So this approach here is following a accelerated learning models approach. So what this is doing is modeling the system I developed in accelerating your learning. And it's based on essentially distilling from a complex literature, this one, in fact, to be exact, The Prince, taking a piece of material, something educational, something of value, and distilling its core principles down and getting them into actionable pragmatic tools and steps and techniques that you can apply in your everyday life. And what that falls into the category of is, to do so, you need to understand the philosophy. So what are the core axioms of this particular system? How does this heuristic, so we're treating essentially the prince like a heuristic here. If you don't know what that is, go check out the last episode, IQ utilization. We talk all about it. So we want to find out what are the axioms that are required for you to view the world in for this heuristic to work. In a way, you can kind of think about it of, what confirmation bias do I need to fall into? What paradigm do I need to view the world from? Which is actually the next step. But what is the core assumptions I need to make about the world? That's the philosophy. From there, you move to the paradigm. So the paradigm is telling you basically, if this philosophy is true, then from that philosophy, I can derive these perspectives on reality. Again, remember, this is a heuristic. It isn't saying that Machiavelli is true. Machiavelli's philosophy is truth. It's saying it's useful. It's useful to assume that it's true. And when it's true, when you assume that it's true, it produces certain paradigms. The third component, and this is crucial, this is where most people screw up, is then applying that filter that you've just created with the philosophy and the paradigm to the applicable context. If you apply a philosophical and paradigm filter to the wrong context, you're going to lead yourself right off a bridge. These techniques are not applicable in every situation. And if you use them in every situation, you're going to fail. So don't do that. Make sure that you are in the right situation for the paradigm that you're using to be successful. For example, being an evangelical Christian standing up on a soapbox in the Middle East is probably going to get you killed. That's not the applicable context for that kind of behavior. That's a harsh way to put it, but it's real. All right. The fourth step from here is, once you understand those three assumptions in the beginning, you've adopted the philosophy, you know the perspective, and you're in the right context, you then can extract key principles, key mistakes, key behaviors, key tactics, and key systems. So, dang, I need to stop saying so. The key principles of power, so the key principles, I should say, are basically rules of thumb. So if this philosophy is true, then these key principles work. Common failure is, most of success is about figuring out how people fail and not doing those things, because it's a lot easier to fail than it is to succeed. So if you can eliminate the core ways that people fail, the most common ways, because they are Paretally distributed, so if you can find the top 4 most common ways, you might be able to take off 60-70% of your failures by just not doing those 4 things. The next part is key behaviors. So key behaviors are, they talk about this a lot in sociology, which garbage science, by the way. Most of their studies are crap, but it's a good term. Key behaviors are things that you do. So, for example, key behaviors of people who successfully lose weight are that they weigh themselves every day, they eat breakfast, they sleep, and they exercise, or they walk 2 miles or more every day. Like, I don't know what those are exactly. I'm just saying those are key behaviors of people that are healthy. And if you adopted those, you would become a healthier person by adopting the key behaviors. Tactics are kind of like a 1-2 punch combo in martial arts. So you can do like a feint punch to the hit. It's a very down and dirty, here's techniques that work in a lot of different situations that are effective, and you can go and apply those in a wide variety of situations and be pretty good. In fact, by applying tactics, you can actually get pretty darn competent in skill sets without actually developing a huge chunk of the the core repertoire. So a very common example of this is video games, where you can actually become one of the top in a video game by just getting a core concept and a few tactics down and just nailing them. So if you can get the key behaviors and a few tactics, you can have complete blind spots on your knowledge and still fare very well. There was a guide on that back in the day. It was a strategy guide, but it was for like a Mortal Kombat style fighting game. And it was a guy who learned the basics, block, attack, dodge, the core key behaviors. And once he had those down, he just memorized the tactic, which was this combo. He would learn like 2 or 3 combos that were really, really, really hard to learn how to do. But if you learned them, they were just unstoppable. And so he would just do those and spam them over and over and over again, and he'd win. The final step is to put all of that into what I call systems. So systems are it comes from Scrum methodology or Kanban. It's the idea that goals are stupid. Don't use goals. They're dumb. They're short term in focus, and they set weird, arbitrary parameters for success and failure. A system, on the other hand, is about doing something over and over and over again, indefinitely, and making your metric of success whether or not you're getting closer or further from your plan. So it's not a good example is weight loss. A goal might be to lose 20 pounds in a month. A system would be, I'm going to lose weight until I'm a healthy weight and maintain my weight then, and I'm going maintain my weight then. So like that would be an example of a system. It's not, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a month. It's, I'm going to get to a healthy weight and stay there. And that's a different approach. It's, it's a systematic approach, and you can apply that to business. You can apply that to your life, goals, everything. Those are systems. So that's what we're going to be walking through here with Machiavelli, the prince. So Machiavelli's philosophy. The Machiavellian philosophy is basically this: the ends justify the means, and history shows us that nice guys finish last. So it is wise then to dispense with what ought to be and instead play the game that is to the best of our ability, and the game is power. You may be noticing this is a similar philosophy to Nietzsche. And as you all know, Nietzsche is a garbage philosopher. He is a joke. He is a hack. He has contributed nothing of value to philosophy. He is a moron, and anyone who thinks that he's smart has either not read his books or is so dumb that they're illiterate. That being said, this philosophy is what spurred on Machiavelli. So, Nietzsche took the philosophy here and said, I'm going to go and be a total loser and just, the world is so bad, and I'm really the bright, smart one, and I'm going to find it, make my own God, and just trash, just a loser. Machiavellian, on the other hand, saw that perspective. He looked at the world in the same perspective as you would much more accurately pick up in the book of Ecclesiastes, if you want a easier, better, more coherent, really well written version of Nietzsche's philosophy. Just read Ecclesiastes, but don't read the last 2 pages, because that solves all of Nietzsche's philosophical problems long before he was born. So I really need to stop saying so. Machiavelli looked at the situation and said, okay, fine. The man's trying to shut us down. How long have we been out? How long? Are we good? Looking green. All right. Dang it. That sucks. I hope we didn't lose any core information. We gotta get the comments back up here. Gotta get the projector set up real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, guys. Bear with me here. Technical difficulties there. Internet decided to just give up. So, I need to stop saying so. Where were we before OBS just gave up because we were dropping too much knowledge? So I'm gonna take so there. That's gonna work. We're gonna work with so. All right. So Machiavelli took this approach and he said, all right, if the world is corrupt in this, is built this way, if this is the real way that the world works, then I'm going to figure out the rules of this world, and I'm going to create a manual for operating the most effectively in this world. It was almost a bit of satire in a way. He was very spiteful of seeing a world that works like this. Now, he has a point. The point is that we do live in a fallen world. This is the realm of Satan, and in the realm of Satan, these rules do apply. If you want to succeed in a world where Satan rules, these rules will help you to do that. Now, with that being said, Christian philosophy is basically like a counterspell for all these rules. If you follow a Christian philosophy, it just demolishes these techniques and makes them irrelevant. It's kind of what you saw happening within Western culture. So why learn this? Why learn the tools of the enemy? Well, it's Sun Tzu, which is a topic we'll be discussing in upcoming episodes. It's very important to know thy enemy. And so this lecture here is kind of about teaching you what are the tools and the paradigms and the perspectives that the enemy and bad people are using on you all the time, so that you can start to see through your own illusions in the way that I can do that. Obviously, you're not going to be doing it for magic levels, which requires a high level of professional skill, but maybe it's when you turn on the news, you'll be able to see through the deception just a little bit more. Maybe you'll be able to see a little bit more of how all this persuasion and trickery works. So from Machiavelli's philosophy, we derive a few paradigms, and he states these very upfront in the beginning of his book. His first concept is that the microcosm is the macrocosm. Now, this is a common theme in most religions, as well as esotericism, and it's also represented in the Bible as well, and therefore probably accurate. It's an interesting concept that basically what happens on a small level is reflected on the larger level. So for Machiavelli, these principles could be applied to something as small as a small business, all the way up to the government infrastructures. And his principles would be applicable in either situation in his philosophy. The second paradigm that he derives is that there are two kinds of people. There are free thinkers and there are followers. This is an interesting concept that he develops here, because this is something that we've seen broken up into today's society. There are the NPC meme as a perfect example of this. Is an identification of the followers that Machiavelli pointed out. They will follow programming and hear the lessons and just instinctively go with the crowd, versus people who think freely. And the final paradigm that he produced from his philosophy is that there are two classes of people, the publics and the elites. Now, what's so crazy about this is that this was written 500 years ago, okay? Machiavelli wrote this down, and this wasn't written as a crazy conspiracy theory. This is the way things are. What's bizarre is that we have lost this knowledge. This is something that people don't talk about anymore, and it's kept in old books, and you're not encouraged to read those books. You should go watch YouTube videos of some guy talking about those books. When you read this kind of literature, you find out that this thinking has been around for a long, long time, and this is really how the things work. You can go, and there's a class of people who are at the elite class, and then there's the public, and the public is very often the biggest threat to the elites, and the elites will use influence, persuasion, and power, the techniques we're going to teach you guys today, to show you to control the public. And that's kind of what Machiavelli is writing about on how to do. This is often why Machiavelli is referred to as the Antichrist. You might be thinking, oh, because he's teaching people how to be evil. No, not necessarily. What the real reason why is the elites wanted to slander his name, because what he wrote revealed their techniques, their plans, and their tactics. So that's what we're looking at here. So now looking at what is an applicable context for power acquisition. I'm struggling with that word today. Well, Machiavelli says that the applicable context for his philosophy and his model essentially his model predicts in any situation in which power and authority can be acquired within a hierarchy, which the leaders have power over their subordinates. So this is everything from business to government to even organized religion. Any situation where you have hierarchical structures and the people gain power over subordinates, Machiavelli's principles will begin to predict. That's what he claims, at least. And he gives multiple examples of the different ways they predict throughout history, which is very awesome of him. It's so nice when you just have geniuses who are just like, yeah, look, I know you're going to screw this up. So here, I'm just going to explain it to you exactly how it works. It's very helpful. So with that being said, we now have the context. We have the philosophy. We have the paradigms we're working with, and we now know the context is to look at this. So you could be thinking about how these apply in your day-to-day job, your company that you work at. You could apply these to your school organization, your education system. You can apply this to the government. When you turn on the news and TV and you hear them talking politics and see what's going on, all of these rules will apply and give you a perspective of reality that is highly, highly predictive. That's one of the reasons I love The Prince so much, and this is why I started with him, is The Prince has allowed me to predict things 2 to 3 years in the future by just knowing these core principles. For example, predicting Donald Trump becoming president 2 years before it happened. That's what I did. Got all the death threats for it. Predicting the situation with North Korea and how it was resolved. Predicting that there was no collusion with Russia in advance. I did this all by reading this book and applying the principles that were in this book and looking at the world from that perspective and saying, oh, yeah, no, this is like what he wrote about. This has totally happened before. Exact textbook thing. None of this is new. And he's been predicting it for over 500 years. It's not about being smart. It's just about having the right paradigm and perspective. So now that you know that, that's my little testimony, if you will, for the Prince and its validity. Let's look at some of the principles of power. Machiavelli says to be successful in these environments, the environments we just discussed, you need to be strong of your own merit. What this means is you need to have an inherent value that you can leverage in any situation. So, for example, you might be really competent at carpeting. You might be very competent at marketing and sales. You might be very competent at cooking. It doesn't matter. You just have to have something that you are very successful at that is of value to the organization you're in. The second tip is to partner with people who are weaker than you, not people who are stronger than you. This is a very common problem. You see this with the Reddit people. They're always trying to get the attention of people that are above them. Look at me, look at me, look at me. They're fools. They will never succeed, and that's why they're stuck at the bottom. It's like, no, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you try and get the attention of someone above you when you just give me, look at me, give me? Why? Because the second that you get in a relationship with someone who's above you, you now have an unfair power dynamic. You have nothing to give to, you don't have much of value to give to them, and they have a lot of value to give to you. It's imbalance. It's unfair. It's gross. Why would you want to be in that situation? Have something of value that's extraordinarily valuable to the person that you want to partner with, and give them that value. And make sure that the person you're giving that value to is somebody who isn't able to eliminate you, destroy you, weaker than you. Don't partner with people who are stronger than you. Learn from them, mentor with them, study with them, try and offer some value to them, give them money in exchange for their time. Don't partner with them until you're ready. Third key principle of power here is to totally destroy problems while they're still small. This is a ruthless one from Machiavelli. You want to read the book. My goodness. This man is ruthless. He was talking about how, I think it was when Napoleon, it might have been Napoleon, overthrew the French 28 something. The group of people, 28 councils, he had a coup. And he was talking about how it was so effective that he broke in there and just killed everyone instantly, and then the problems were solved. And you're like, oh gosh. Keep in mind this applies to war totally as well as politics. But you can apply this in your own life, like we were saying, on the microcosm. Don't let a habit that is bad grow into something that's unmanageable. Don't let a messy room become more and more messy. Kill the messy room, destroy the messy room, make it orderly before it becomes out of hand. So basically, problems will grow and develop over time that are untreated. Anything that isn't managed will slowly deteriorate and decay in this fallen world. So eliminate those problems quickly and efficiently when they're small and easy to manage. It's a core principle of acquiring power. Number 4, this one's interesting. Take sides. There's no power found in neutral. This is very interesting because this is contradictory to what most people were taught, especially my generation, where it was like, no man, just keep your head down, don't take any sides, just go to work, get your job done. Machiavelli says to acquire power in these systems, you have to live in the extremes, and you can kind of see this happening right now in today's society, where you see people polarizing to extremes on left or right, and they're doing this because, again, we live in Satan's domain. This is his territory. So these people are starting to apply these tactics because they need to win. They're trying to play the game to win. And to win the game, you have to take a side. Because if you take a side and you take an extreme side, the idea is that those people will have your back. There's not many people who are going to have your back in the mushy middle. That's what they're doing here to acquire power. Number 5 is always be looking for your next adventure. It's kind of interesting that Machiavelli puts this one in. It's kind of whimsical and nice. But his idea here is a stagnant king, a stagnant prince, a person who is not pursuing more and greater and more conquest is on the decline. So always be trying to find what is the next great thing that I'm going to accomplish. What's my next project? What is the next amazing thing I'm going to accomplish? It's a key principle to acquiring power. And number 6, such a dark one, so bad, but always have a fall guy and take the spotlight. My goodness. And this is, he reflects this in a multitude of stories. This one just is rough, man. Betrayal on the highest level. But, what are you going to do? He recommends you have someone, when you have bad, dirty things to do, have some guy do it for you. And if it gets revealed that was happening, you blame it on him and you have that guy executed. And when great things happen and other people accomplish them, take the spotlight. Yeah, that was my team. I did that. It was great. Whoo, that guy, man, what did he do? Oh, jeez, that guy sucks. I guess we're going to have to fire him. You may be noticing this happening in your environment. It's kind of sad, but this is a principle that Machiavelli writes out as a key to succeeding in a system for acquiring power. So now we're going to look at common failures to avoid, and what better failure at power acquisition than Louis the 16th got his head chopped off. Poor old Louis. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong on this. I think he was the king that inspired Robin Hood, the Disney film version, the king that sucks his thumb. just a total incomplete joke. Actually, I don't think that is. I think that was a different king. A lot of kings have made a lot of mistakes throughout history. You might learn this. Just here's a side note. Machiavelli wouldn't advise this, but don't try to be an elite and don't compete for power. It's retarded. It's really, really retarded. Because the people always end up dying. They get their heads cut off. They get killed. They get assassinated. They get suicided. They get murdered. There's so many horrible things, and none of them end well. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Go do something awesome with your life. Go get Jesus. Common failures to avoid. Common failures to avoid pursuing power. Number 1, Never partner with those who are stronger than you. This is kind of the inverse of the first principle we talked about earlier, but this is the mistake to avoid. And we already kind of discussed why this is such a big deal. I won't rehash it. I'll just do a brief recap here of just, if someone's stronger than you, you have an unequal power balance and they can eliminate you whenever you want. Don't be in that situation. Instead, be in the inverse. Simple as that. Number 2, and this one's huge, never outsource your strength. This is a very common amongst business owners. It's these idea that they're going to make a business by outsourcing the thing that they're good at to other people. I don't need to be good at that. I'll just have someone else do it for me. Do not do this, because now you're completely dependent on that person. On the inverse, like we were talking about earlier, having something that you're extremely valuable at and contributing to the system, this is kind of the inverse of that as well. You are becoming the strength that they're outsourcing to, and so you become very valuable and hard to remove. If you are out doing that to other people and outsourcing your strength and power, then you are equally as vulnerable. Number 3. Oh, Louis, I bet this one stings. Never be hated by a majority. This is a classic problem that people tend to run into. Louis fell for it and lost his head. This is reflected throughout most of history. There's such a common pattern of leaders being hated by the majority, and so the public goes, yeah, we're done with you, and then we kill you. It happens quite a lot, unfortunately. And it doesn't have to be as extreme as killing. It could be just as simple as, for example, Hillary Clinton. She ran for president. The majority of people hated her. Most of the people on the left hated her. Everyone on the right hated her. And so she lost miserably despite having every single possible advantage in her favor on her side. She had the entire media. She had people illegally rigging elections. She had every PR firm working for her, but it didn't matter because the majority of people hated her, and not good for acquiring power. Number 4, never tolerate or allow flattery. This is an interesting one that Machiavelli actually talks about a lot. It kind of comes out of nowhere, but when you think about it and you read how he explains why it's such a problem, it makes sense. People will come and, kind of like I was talking about before, like, give me attention, give me attention. This is almost like a more advanced version of attention. You don't see these from the lower class Reddit people. Reddit people are just like, will do anything for that attention from these kinds of people, from people with power, because they're obsessed with it. They're like golems. They're addicted to the ring. But these are the people who will say nice things to you because you have power. And that's why he says, hey, I don't want compliments. I don't want you complimenting me. I don't want you flattering me. You tell me the truth. You tell me the truth to my face. And if I catch you not telling me the truth, I will literally kill you. That's Machiavelli. I'm not saying to do that, but that's what he's describing, the seriousness of this. It's tell me the truth. Do not lie to me. If you flatter me and you try to hype me up, I might walk out into a battle and die because I think in my head, I got this because you're pumping me up. You need to be objective with me. You need to tell the truth. Do not tolerate people saying compliments. Now, you don't have to take this as extreme in real life. People say a compliment to you. Just don't think, oh, that. In the same way that you don't value the trolls who leave terrible comments, you're like, oh, okay, great. Like, it doesn't affect me in any way or form. You need a similar response to positive praise as well, because while it's nice and it feels good, you have to remember the same value from that comment is the same value you're getting from the negative comment. They're equally non-valid. This doesn't mean someone can't compliment you. It just means be on the lookout for false compliments, for flattery, for the intention of trying to acquire your attention and power. Number 5, man, the Bible has this one written down, I think, pretty much every single king. every king whose story just ends in horror is falling victim to this common mistake. Don't be greedy. Never touch a man's property or woman. If you do, it goes bad. And Machiavelli gives a ton of examples of people who go in and they win the war, and then they have to pillage the village and take the women. And when that happens, it brings forth a wrath upon the people, and it always ends badly. Don't be greedy. Never touch a man's property. Never touch his woman. So we've explained now what are the common ways people fail when trying to acquire power. Now, what are key behaviors to acquiring power? Well, this man right here is actually a very good example in the first season of House of Cards of someone who applies the Machiavellian principles pretty incredibly well. Now, of course, like everything that's produced by losers that are manipulative and worshiping Satan, they bait you in with high-quality archetypes because they can't actually create anything themselves. And then they invert it and destroy it and ruin it and put in propaganda to try and manipulate you. So, highly wouldn't recommend watching House of Cards because it's trash for that. That being said, the initial archetype is a very powerful representation because they stole it from history because they can't create anything themselves because they aren't artists, they're failures and propaganda makers. If you want a character example, Season 1 gives a good example. Watch him. I think his name's Frank. He represents these characteristics very well. The first one is being a charismatic monster. So Machiavelli is saying you need to be able to put on a persona that is very positive, happy, honorable, charitable, merciful, religious, a kind person's face, someone that is a bit stoic even. But behind the scenes, you also have to have a side to you and a reputation, a shadow side that is very cruel and feared and inhumane and ruthless. And by combining these two things of a person who's able to be nice and kind to the public, but also you're like, I think that guy will break my neck if I cross him. That combination is the key behaviors of someone that is going to be able to acquire power. Someone who is both loved and someone who is feared. This is where the historical line from Machiavelli says, if you can't be loved, it is better to be feared. And it's terrifying, but he is correct. In systems that predict, with Machiavelli's philosophy, which would be a fallen world in hierarchies. It's tragic. So that's where that famous line comes into play. And finally, he says to avoid all behaviors that appear to be unreliable, petty, effeminate, mean-spirited, or irresolute. If you do these kinds of behaviors, if you act aloof, if you don't follow through with your plans, if you're effeminate, if you're mean-spirited and cruel, overly cruel in public, you will lose the public's affection for you and they will start to hate you. Gonna move right along here. Now that we've covered the key behaviors, we're going to talk about some tactics. These are some actual things you can go and apply right now. These are skill sets that people apply in a variety of situations to acquire power. Machiavelli writes these out, and if you just take these tactics and apply them in your life alongside these principles and behaviors that we just talked about, you're going to be effectively be able to conquer and crush any hierarchy system that exists. Now, should you? That's the question, and I would argue, well, we'll talk about it at the end, but we'll talk about it at the end. Machiavelli's tactics. If you want to succeed, find desperate people and solve their problems publicly and loudly. Donald Trump is fantastic at this. If you want someone to find people that are desperate and have a problem that they want to solve, and then he's like, I'm going to fix it. I did that. I fixed that problem. I fixed it. It was me. Put my name right up there in big gold letters. Second is create the message you wish people to think about, and then you repeat it. This is marketing 101. Create your slogan, create your brand, create what you're about, and just talk about it over and over again with people in public. Let people know. Repeat it. And that's it. The third quality is you can go and throw parties, support artists, support the church, and support small businesses while you're saying the message that we just talked about. So if you do this, you're gathering people together, you're providing value, and you're saying your message. Artists are creating things that attract people's attention, true artists. And you're aligning your message with that beauty of that truth. By supporting the church, you're aligning yourself with someone who is honorable, who follows morals while saying your message. When you're helping small businesses, you're also saying your message. And when you help a small business who's weaker than you and needs your help, they will be very much inclined to want more of your help and to help you in the future when they succeed. The fourth tactic here is to hide your dirty work whenever possible and have others do it. This one's sick and dark. I don't like it, but it is the way of the world. Don't be seen doing. It's the common expression. They don't need to see how the sausage is made, and that's more or less how you could maybe water that principle down a little bit, so it's a little less cutting. But Machiavelli does not cut any corners. He is direct to the point and little dark. So now we've covered these tactics that you can apply to acquire power. We're going to go over systems that you can use to acquire power. So systems are things that you will do every day to succeed at acquiring power. Number one, find desperate people and solve their problems. Number two, create something to solve a problem every week. Doesn't matter how big or small the problem is, apply it. Number three, make at least one person's day better every day. If you do this, you're going to start building your network of people and your connections. Number four, and most importantly, you're developing value. You're a valuable person. Number four, go to church every week and throw a party every month. If you do this, you'll start having the opportunities to apply those tactics that we talked about on the previous slide. Oh, also, this is a brief test. I'm trying to figure out what the age market of my audience is. If you know what this meme is, without Googling, no Googling, let me know. I want to figure out what my general age group is. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for joining. Like, share, and subscribe. Only if you enjoyed this class. Please leave a comment on how I can improve. And if you think it wasn't so good, and then I will try to get better. Like, for example, my audio mic is closer. We've raised it up with a mic stand, and we have the comment section pulled out here, so I'll be able to read through them real quick, because we're going to cover that right now. But first, let's do a little recap. So I was saying, should you apply these techniques? So you now know the tool book, the handbook, if you will, for acquiring power. And the question is this a good thing to do? Should you try and acquire power through these means? In this fallen world, there are times where you have to know the rules that the world operates by, and you need to use them to your advantage. But what I would recommend is you can apply these tactics for success, but do not let them supersede your faith. So if what they teach you, or if what these practices take you, is in a way that is contradictory to what God tells you to do, don't do them. And in fact, I would say even more so, the value of this, because there's things in this systems that you can apply to your everyday life that are really, really valuable. For example, if you apply everything here except maybe number 4, find people who are desperate and need problems and solve them, and let the world know that you solve those problems, that's going to be great. You can help a lot of people with that. You can create messages that you want people to think about you and repeat it. I think it's a little cheesy, but it's effective for marketing. You can do that. That's called advertising. 3, throw parties, support artists, the church, and small businesses while saying your message. And maybe you don't make it as blunt as Machiavelli does, or just saying your message, but just let it be known that you're supporting the artist, and let people come to you and ask what you do. These are tactics that you can apply in a way that is ethical, without having to play so dark of a role. And to Machiavelli's point, Christianity doesn't tell you to be just a nice, loving, caring person. That's half of the story. You know, he said to sell your cloak and buy a sword. He says that the people who will inherit the earth are the ones who are able to kill you but choose not to, and do so in a kind and peaceful way. That's a lot of the characteristic Machiavelli is describing here. Someone who is loving, who is kind, who is honorable, who is merciful, who is religious, but also dangerous and powerful. And that is not against Christian thought. But I think the most powerful way of using this information of all is the fact that you now know the tools and tactics and philosophy and mindset of the playbook. This is the game manual of Satan's realm. This teaches you where Satan rules, these are the rules that they play by. And you can use that to your advantage. If you know the rules, you're one step further to winning the war. Know thy enemy, know their playbook. Well, Machiavelli gave it to you, and I've just distilled it down even further. Do not confuse this book or this YouTube series for reading the book. This is meant to be an accelerated cheat sheet, if you will. You could go and watch this after you've read the book as a way to recap and say, oh, yeah, I remember those core principles. But do not sacrifice it. Go buy the book. Go read it. Go download it. You can get it for free. It's in public domain. Read the book. And then use this video to jumpstart your thoughts. Now let's look at the comments. I totally forgot. Dr. Evil. It's beautiful. The reason I talk about Satan and Christianity is because I'm religious and I believe in Jesus Christ. And I think that he died for our sins. That's why. I believe in God. Skip the troll, skip the troll, skip the troll. It's not all bunch of trolls. It's one troll that I'm repeating that for. I'm trying to ban him. Machiavelli was the Antichrist. No, I mean, okay, yeah, he taught some dark stuff, but there's a lot of evidence to support that what he was writing was supposed to be satirical. His way of basically just flipping off the satanic system that he was surrounded in. And there's evidence to support that that's what it was, because he ended up just moving out into the countryside and was just like, screw this, I'm done. Here's your book. Here's what you do. Here's the manual. Everyone knows now. And then just left, and no one actually regarded it at all. It kind of just sat on someone's desk, and then someone picked it up, and they're like, holy crap. He just wrote this like as a direct letter to a king. He's just like, I'll show you how smart I am. I know all your tricks. And the guy's like, oh God, it's Machiavelli again. It's very interesting, really interesting to look into. But the propaganda was made well after The Prince was written. And in fact, I think it was after he was dead. His statue, I think, is in Italy amongst some religious statues as well, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that one. But the nickname of calling him the Antichrist was it was a propaganda slander campaign, because he revealed the nature of evil and their playbook, and they didn't like that, so they created propaganda to slander him. So, Antichrist, probably not. If he was, man, that was anticlimactic, and if this is heaven, geez, we've been let down. I don't believe that. Thank you. The comment says, looking higher energy. I feel good. I don't know why. I'm fired up today. Feeling really good. Life's going well. We're getting the cookie business going. We're selling those cookies. We went to the UFC gym and we moved some product, sold those chocolate chip cookies, did some magic. Going to the Magic Castle every week's doing really great. Get my act up, and it is just crushing. Things are going really good. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. And I need to learn to keep myself here, because there's no reason that I can't be this happy and this good despite my situation, because I've got God, and that's all that matters. No one can ever take that from me. You can put a bullet to my head, and you can't take God from me. So that's all. That's where all my joy should come from. I'll be working on that. Stab a guy in the back, Jesus. Yeah, I know, right? It's dark. Machiavelli does not pull any punches. He's ruthless. He's just like, yeah, get a guy to do all your dirty work and then stab him in the back. It's like having a guy dig his own grave. It's so horrible, man. Yeah, but you know, What do you expect if you write the playbook to Satan's handbook or Satan's world? You're going to get some darkness, unfortunately. Let's see here. Friday night, 30 people. Friday night, 30 people. Woo! Yeah. Friday night, 30 people learning about philosophy, learning about thought, learning about the rules of evil itself, learning how they can apply tactics to succeed in this realm and how to fight back. I know, right? Right? On a Friday night. Those are the winners. Those are the winners. Remember. Christianity started with 12 guys. It did pretty well with 12 guys. 30 guys is a lot more than 12, boys and girls. All right? We're doing good. All right. I think that about wraps it up. All right. Perfect. So thank you, everybody, for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And if you haven't, make sure you do it. But only do it if you enjoyed this class. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a comment and let me know how I can improve. And that way I'll try and get a little bit better and make it a more effective stream. Hopefully the audio quality was a little bit better for you guys today, a little easier to hear me so you don't have to turn it up to like 95 to listen to me and then get bass boosted by the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Oh yeah, we're going to do intro out. We're going to do intro out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Peace.